Hello, my name is Phil, and I have been married for the last 20 years, or 23 years, Jesus, to my husband Jerry. We have no children, but we have two very spoiled dogs. And I am the second eldest of 12, so I've had plenty of family support around me. My journey with ovarian cancer started in late August 2012, when I awoke one morning to discover I was bleeding. I knew something was up because at age 42, 12 years or 13 years before, I had gone through an early menopause. So, but me being me, I just left it for a few days. But finally, I decided I better go and get it checked out. So I went to my GP, and straight away he sent me into A&E, where I seen a gynecologist. And after examining me, he said he'd have to arrange an ultrasound scan, and I'd get the appointment would come in the post. So about a week later, the appointment for the ultrasound came. So off I went with my bottle of water into Mullingar Hospital. I had the ultrasound, and straight away they asked me could I do an internal scan. I said yes. Then they got a doctor, and the doctor said we're going to have to arrange a CT scan, and if I'd like to wait outside. So I was then brought up the corridor and given the usual jug of gunk to drink. So after, all in all, in 3.5 hours I had all that done. I then seen a consultant, Dr. Thomas, who told me that I had a 16-inch mass on the right ovary, and he was going to refer me to St. James's Hospital in Dublin for a hysterectomy, and I'd be under Dr. Gleeson. So a fortnight later, I got the letter to go to meet Dr. Gleeson, and she told me that I needed a radical hysterectomy, and she had made arrangements for me to come in 10 days. I then went and got all my pre-meds done. Cancer was never mentioned. I never asked. So I had to see a stoma nurse, which I did. I just left the hospital then with a book to read up on a hysterectomy, and a pack that I got from the stoma nurse to practice with at home, just in case I did need the colostomy bag. The surgery went ahead and everything went well, and I was told that I also had a 10-centimetre mass on the left ovary. But I got through surgery great. I was in great health. Before diagnosis, I had no symptoms whatsoever, and I thank God for that bleed, because if I didn't get that bleed, I mightn't be here now. After my surgery, I went back in to see Dr. Gleeson for a checkup, and it was then she told me I had ovarian cancer. I know she then told me that she was going to transfer me to Tullamore Hospital to Dr. Bulger for my chemo, because it was nearer home. I know I did ask her if I'd lose my hair. She told me yes. My husband was sitting beside me, and we do not know if we asked any more questions or if she told us anything else. We left the hospital that day, and I do not know how we got home. When I arrived home, the only worry I had was how would I tell my family. So I just got out the phone and I texted them all, starting cancer in 2 weeks. That was it. They started texting, they started ringing. I just said, I know no more, because I hadn't got my head around it myself, not minding telling them. So a couple of weeks later, I went into Tullamore to meet Dr. Bulger. He told me, he talked over my treatment plan with me and told me that I was starting 6 cycles of carbotoxol over 18 weeks. He said Dr. Gleeson had recommended that, and he said nobody argues with Dr. Gleeson. And over the next few days, I had to go back to the hospital with my meds to be talked over and to be walked around the oncology unit. The following Monday, with my wig sitting at home on the dressing table over a pudding bowl to keep it in shape, my bandana's in the drawer and my fringe, I was set. So that Monday morning, I walked into the oncology unit not knowing what to expect. I think it was only then that it hit me. It is true, I do have cancer. But what a friendly, happy ward that was. It was an eye-opener. So on week 1, I had Toxol and Carbo, followed by Toxol on week 2, Toxol on week 3, and then the cycle started over again. The hair went on week 3, and so did the veins. So on week 5, I had a port fitted, and what an invention. It makes life so much easier. The wig never left the pudding bowl, but I just wore the bandana and the fringe, because to me, my fringe was my life. You know, I think I had very, very short hair, so losing my hair wasn't much, you know, it didn't take much. So the chemo went well. I know I tiredness, and of course the dreaded constipation, but other than that, I had no symptoms. I got the medication for the constipation, and up to now, it's still a bane in my life. I thought everything was great. You know, when you look back, I thought I was getting through the chemo grand, but on every cycle, I had to have an iron fusion, followed the next day at home by the dreaded ANAREP injection, which, if anyone here had it, you'd know it was like a bee sting shooting down your leg or wherever you had it. I also had to get blood transfusions. But I just thought, well, everybody gets that, so me not asking questions again. The 18 weeks flew by, and overall I still felt very well, apart from the tiredness and the constipation. But after about 6 weeks, the eyebrows went, and the eyelashes, and all of a sudden the big black dog began to appear on my shoulder. I don't know why I felt that way, because after all, I felt very lucky. I had got through my operation, I had got through my treatment. Life was good. I just cannot say. And in the meantime, it was World Ovarian Cancer Day, and my sister rang me to see, she had seen the Ovacare site mentioned on TV3, and she gave me the address, the email address. My husband turned on the computer for me because, believe it or not, I hadn't got a clue. But I just looked at the computer and I said, no, the time just wasn't right for me. I don't know whether it was me, but I found cancer a very lonely place, even though I had all my family and friends around me, too many at times. So finally I decided, right, I made an appointment with my GP, and when I went down, I discovered my GP had retired and there was another GP in his place. And I walked into the surgery, and the first thing he said to me was, "You have had a very rough time. I've just read your notes." And straight away I felt he understands. After nearly an hour in there with him, I left with a prescription for a very mild antidepressant. And I still wonder what all the people in the waiting room must have been thinking, you know, with me being in there so long. And I actually just walked in and was seen straight away for some reason, even though there was about 6 in front of me, but I didn't care. So after a couple of weeks, life began to get brighter. I think the black dog was beginning to go out the back door. Well, I have 2 kennels out there, so there was room for him. And I finally managed to get on the computer to the Ovacare site. I turned it on, and my husband has a setup with a password for a dog we used to have. So I put in the password. It didn't accept it. Word came up, you know, a hint, woof, woof. I said, this is great. So I said, oh, I'll try it again. I called my husband and I said, this is a great contraption. It even knew the password you put in was a dog's name, not realising he had set it up. So I sat down then and I wrote my first post. Well, I put in my username and my password, and then I used the password instead of the username. And I know I was on to somebody in Ovacare. I'm sure they were saying, who the hell is that one? But I finally wrote my first post, and getting word back, your replies, it just said, oh, there's loads of people out there, this is great. So I really felt I was on the way. back to, you know, who I am. It was only after my next checkup, which was 10 months after I was diagnosed, that I asked Dr. Bulger what stage of cancer I was at, because before that I asked nothing. He told me I was at stage 3C. Well, I didn't ask for the C until that November, but at stage 3C. And as my bowels were still playing up, I had another CT scan, and I was told I was clear of cancer, but had adhesions on the bowel. So that was what was causing a lot of my problems. So back I went to my GP, and he prescribed me Ovacare. And now myself and Ovacare are the best of friends. You know, they understand me and I understand it. I continue to go every month to get my port flushed. I also get my CA125 done every month. For me, it's the only control I feel I have over my cancer. But I don't ask for the results until the following month. My 3 months checkups have gone to 6 months. And 2 weeks ago, I was back in for my 6-month checkup. I knew things were a bit iffy with the CA125 because it was slowly rising. So at the moment, I am on the watch and wait, and I will see the consultant again in January to see where I go from there. So I know if the cancer does come back, there's plenty more treatment out there for me. I'm in great health, so I know I'd be well able for more treatment. I have my husband, Jerry, who's my rock around me. I have all my family. I have friends. Even though I did lose some friends along the way, I think they thought cancer was contagious. I have one friend in particular, Una, who I call my counsellor, because she always seems to ring, text, or arrange coffee when I'm feeling a bit down. I think she's psychic or something. And I also have my Ovacare family, and I know that I can always turn to them if I'm feeling down. So it's all I want to say. If there's any woman here today that are a member of the Ovacare forum but have not yet posted, please do, even if it's only to give out about the weather, because you can always be sure someone will reply to you, and the more women who come on board, the more we can help each other. Thank you.